Okay. So yesterday we discussed about till this recurring invoice concept. In today's session we'll see third party payments. Hope everyone can hear me. Fine. Okay. So we'll see the concept called as third party payments. Okay. First we'll try to understand what is third party payments. It's very simple. When we are buying something from our supplier, definitely we are customer. Okay, now we can have a relation like supplier and customer relation. Just two parties. One side we are as a customer, other side the other organization will be acting as a supplier. So just two parties, customer and supplier, we can take as two parties. Generally, whenever you procure something from the supplier, we have to make the payment to same supplier. But there will be some business cases scenarios where instead of we may get invoice from the supplier, and we may just supplier may inform us to make the payment to another party. The other party may be which is appointed by our supplier for collection process. If you take simple example, say we are here like organization A and our supplier organization name is B. Okay, now we are purchasing from B. We'll record invoice the supplier called as B, but while generally we have to make the payment to organization B only. Now what B is saying is our supplier is saying they're asking we have invoice with the B only, but our supplier is asking to make the payment to C. Now three parties. A we are acting here. A is like take example V customer and B is supplier. C is third party. Okay, instead of making the payment to supplier, we have to make the payment to C third party. The reason C may be acting as a collection agency, okay, for B. C could be something like collection agency. B is requesting, okay, B is appointed C to collect the payments from their customers. Okay, in this case, generally we see the third party payment concept. In this scenario, what we do is to understand this, we have to do some setups. We'll do that. And when you look at the process, we'll create the invoice with sub in our current case we have a supplier called as Fusion Supplier 2. We'll create invoice with Fusion Supplier 2 for say for example $50,000, and we'll make the payment to, we'll create one more supplier as a third party. It's nothing but say Fusion Collection Agency, and we'll make the payment to this supplier. So this is what we are going to test now. Okay, we'll record invoice against one supplier and we'll be processing the payment to same supplier. But here the point is will be whatever the invoice we have with the same within the invoice, so whatever the supplier we have against the same supplier, we have to make the payment. Only the point is here what the point we are discussing will be making the payment to collection agency or third party. The meaning is just will be selecting the remit to address as a collection agency address, means third party. But just concept wise you can take, we'll record invoice against one supplier and we'll be making the payment to another supplier, which we call as third party payments. To implement the solution here we have to do certain setups. Already we have one supplier called as Fusion Supplier 2. Now we'll go and create one more supplier to support our testing, whatever concept we are discussing. To support that, what we'll do is we'll create supplier called as Fusion collection agency. Done. After that, we are going to record the invoice against supplier 2. Now we have to go to the supplier 2. The supplier site, supplier 2, we have to specify behalf of supplier 2 who can receive the payments. That we call as creating the relationship. We have to create the relationship between these two suppliers, Fusion Supplier 2 and Fusion Collection Agency, saying that behalf of supplier 2 we can make the payment to Fusion Collection Agency. That we call as relationship. Create a relationship between our actual supplier and the third party, so that if you create the relationship, then system will allow us, when you have invoice with the supplier too, that payment can be processed to the third party. Okay, just these are the two simple setups we have to complete. We'll go and do it, then we'll have a transaction process. So any question here, please? Okay, so invoice with one supplier and payment to another supplier, that depends on relationship which we created in the system. There will be control on this process. Okay, we'll go and test it. Third party. Okay, so we have to create one more supplier to test this functionality. Let's go and create one more supplier as a Fusion Collection Agency. Just go to Navigator, under Procurement, select Suppliers function, task. Okay, go to Task panel, say Create Supplier. Name is Fusion Collection Agency. Say spend authorized, relationship type. I'm not talking about this relationship, third party relationship definition. This is general normal definition, we know that. So just say create. Let's create address. Select country. This address belongs to which country? Just I'm pasting this in. Fine enough. Select city. Postal code. So what purpose? Just for payment purpose. Okay, we are not going to record any invoices with the collection agency, just for payment. So done. Save and close. And create site. Select address. So give the site name as Fusion Collection Agency Site 1. Purpose is same, and save it and go to payments to set default payment method. Select, just click on this more option, set as a default. Now go to site assignments. Click on add, select your business unit to assign this site. So save and close. Fine. Now we have to create the relationship. So invoice we are going to have with the supplier called as Fusion Supplier 2. Now we have to go to Fusion Supplier 2. There we have to map, okay, this Fusion Collection Agency with this supplier for third party payments. Go to manage suppliers. Fusion Supplier 2. Just click on supplier name, it will open. Go to sites. Sorry. Okay, go to invoicing tab. Invoicing tab here. If you scroll little down, here you can see third party payment relationships. Click on add. Now when you have invoice with this Fusion Supplier 2, that invoice related payment you want to process to which is supplier, that you have to select. Select remit to supplier. Fusion Collection Agency. Select address. Set from date. I think today period we have to open. We'll do it. Okay, that's all. If you have multiple one, you may set as a default, but it's not. It won't become mandatory and all. I'm just marking as a default one. Okay, this is the setup we have to do to build some relationship to where system will understand and it will allow us for third party payments. And say save and close.
I have a question.
Please.
If in future, if they decided to pay back to the supplier B, will this relationship needs to be disabled?
No. This relationship will remain same. This is for payment. In that case, we'll be handling that case as a refund. We'll be recording in the system as we got refund from the supplier.
What I was thinking is, say we don't want to pay to the collection agency anymore, and now we have a good
Oh yeah,
relationship.
in that see, simple. It's very simple. If you are not going to pay this, you can delete it. You can remove it.
You have to remove it.
Sorry, we have to remove
So
it.
you
Yes,
have,
you can give end date. Otherwise, you can end date
okay.
it. See here, if you go to sites, okay, invoicing. For now, say your requirement is you want to process. In future, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go with that. So just give the to date. So even if you build this relationship, it won't work. That's it. Yep,
Okay.
that's it. Fine. So we're done with this required setups. And before we go and create the invoice, we'll open this December month period.
Hey, Lakshman,
Please.
just to understand the process. Uh, so
See,
for
simple.
all,
One second. Yeah, I got
if
you.
at all,
No, no, one second.
if at all we want to pay a
Please.
payment,
This is simple.
it always goes to the
No, no,
collection
no, no.
agency.
One second.
In this case,
One second. Do you know the function in EBS?
I did not use this. That's the reason.
The same as R12. Okay, see, you have to select intentionally. That is a provision we are giving. When we are trying to make the payment to the supplier, okay, so system will take this information only, this actual supplier information. If at all you want to process to third party behalf of the supplier, you will be selecting that supplier information as a remit to address and will be doing. Please wait for just 2 minutes so we can see that. Still, if you have any questions, you can ask me. But the guys who knows in EBS, same function. Okay, we'll see that. Fine. So now we have to open the periods. We have to open December period. So go to invoices, tasks. Go to task panel. Let's say manage accounting periods. Select your ledger, Fusion USA primary ledger. So December period status is future enterable. Select this period, just select and click on open period. Just click on refresh to see the update. So December period status is open. Now we can go and record the invoice. This is what we are going to test. We'll create invoice with our standard supplier, nothing but Fusion Supplier 2. And when we are making the payment for that invoice, we'll be selecting Fusion Collection Agency as a Remit2 supplier. That means the check, if you are going to print, that will be printed against this collection agency instead of this supplier. We'll see that. Create invoice. Select your business unit. Fusion Supplier 2. Select invoice currency. Just I'll go with the same amount also, just as we discussed. 50,000. Validate and account it. Okay, just we created invoice. Now say I want to make the payment for this invoice. I'll go to the payment workbench. Go and select the task called as create payment. Select your supplier, your business unit. Select your supplier, which supplier invoices you want to process for the payment. Supplier 2 invoices. Okay. Fine. See here, system is selecting Fusion Collection Agency because I selected as a default. I selected as a default. So that's the reason it is selecting pay name is Fusion Collection Agency. Okay. So now if I'm going to just select the invoice also let me select. Payment document. So I selected there as a default. Default means that is like whenever I have to make the payment to this supplier, that has to go to this. Otherwise, if I don't want to just select as default, I can just uncheck that. So then system will allow us to select here if you have multiple options in that case. So here it is defaulting now. To make the payment to the supplier, for which invoice you want to make the payment for the supplier, that invoice you can select here. I have invoice like invoice number 5. Say apply. Say okay. Let's say okay. It has to be closed. Done. So that's all. You are making the payment to supplier 2, Fusion supplier 2 invoice, but the payee name is Fusion Collection Agency. Since the supplier level, we build the relationship. So this is how it works. Okay, just say save and close. Okay, sorry. So that's all about third-party payments. Now, if you are going to print the check, that will be printed against the collection agency only. Okay, same function how we have in EBS, the same we have here as this. It's all about third party, and the next concept is cross currency payments. Okay, cross currency payments. It's nothing but just we'll have invoice currency in one. We'll have invoice in one currency and payment will do in the different currency. That only we call as cross currency payments. This functionality is not supported in 11a or released all versions, but Fusion we can implement this solution also. Let's see what setups we have to do for this.
Lakshman, did you do this yesterday?
Sorry.
I think you have done this yesterday.
No, we did foreign currency invoice and payment.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no issues. So that's what we did is in yesterday's session we recorded foreign currency invoice and payment. Our functional currency is USD. We recorded invoice in INR. We process payment also in INR. Today what we are going to do is we'll record invoice in one currency and payment will do in different currency. So what we'll do is to test this function, we'll create invoice in INR, or else we will create in USD. Let's create in different currency, not an issue. Okay, we'll create invoice in INR and we'll make the payment USD. Okay, this is what we are going to test. Anything you can take one currency, invoice currency and payment currency is different, and you can test it. To support these what setups we have to do. The bank account level we have to do one setup. You have to make sure that daily rates are defined. Daily rates are available. Apart from that, if you want to set the defaults, that you can set two levels. One is in invoice options and other one is supplier site level. Okay, supplier site level. If you have a supplier whom always will make the payment in the different currency, with that supplier you may record the invoice in one currency and always will be making the payment in the different currency. In that case, directly you can set the defaults at site level, or else you have a practice within that in so and so business unit. All the time, most of the invoices will record in one currency and the payment will be totally in different currency. That if that is a business case, that's how you are running the business. Accordingly, those defaults you can set in the invoice options. But these two are not mandatory, optional. If you set default, accordingly system will be defaulting, or else when you are creating the invoice and making the payments, you have to select those information however you require. And if you are setting defaults here, anyway, you can go and override it whenever you require, and depending on which currency should be the payment currency and all. Anyway, we'll go and see these options also. In invoice options level and supplier site level, you can specify which is your invoice currency as well as payment currency. This you can set, but not mandatory. But we'll go and see that. And the bank account level, you have to enable that account supports for multi-currency payments. Even yesterday, when we tested foreign currency transactions, foreign currency invoice and payments, at that for the same reason also we enabled. Again, once again, we'll go and see that. Then we have to define the daily rates. Once these setups are done, we'll go and have a transaction process. But these two are not mandatory. If you want to set defaults, then only it's required. Anyway, we'll go and see for information to understand related relevant, since they are related to this concept. So we'll go to the invoice options first. These setups, this is the process. Go to invoice options. Just click on go to task icon. See here the defaults you can set: invoice currency and the payment currency. Okay. Say for example you record invoice in USD and you'll make the payment in INR. Okay, if this is your practice, this is how you'll be processing the invoice and payments. You can set accordingly and you can say save and close. Okay, so this is your normal practice how you are doing the payments and invoicing. And at the same time, for specific supplier, if you have some preference, the invoice currency and payment currency, that also you can go and set up. Go to supplier and find the supplier. Let's say manage suppliers.
So Lakshman, one question.
Please.
So this is invoice option will be at the site level. So
Sorry?
if there is any, the invoice option we are setting at the site level.
Site level.
No, like at the project level.
Project. See, invoice options are BU level.
Yeah, sorry, BU level. Yeah. So if we need to make a payment in a different currency, like from USD to like another currency instead of INR.
Yeah.
So does the site level setup take the precedence?
Site level not. Please don't refer site. We didn't discuss site, only BU level. Okay, BU level we are setting for this BU. This is, you can mute. I'll explain, please. I'm getting some noise. Yeah. See, BU level I'm giving some preference. It's not like mandatory. Whatever you said, that will get defaulted as per your business requirement. You can override. It just simply be specified for a defaulting purpose. You are going to make the payment. The payment currency should be in something AED or GBP or etc. etc. You can always override it. It's not mandatory. The same system will just default where it's not possible to override and all. Just we are setting default, and you can override and you can make the payment in any currency. Possible. That is possible. Just default. That's all. Okay. Fine. So that is the point here. Now what I want to do is supplier level. If you want to set the default, go to supplier and go to sites, edit, go to invoice tab, and here you can set up what should be your invoice currency and payment currency. Here, the organization level you set invoice currency USD. Here also, okay, say invoice currency is USD, but your payment currency can be different for this supplier, especially only specific to this supplier. That is how you can set, or else it can be same. However you want to set, you can set it. But I'm going to set the same. Yeah, no. The field is looking for not code, its name. Dear Roti. Okay, that's how you can select, but system is not going to force you to go with the same approach, same payment currency. You can change it. You can change it. That's how we have. So here you can set, if you want to set defaults for specific supplier or specific BU. Okay, however you want to set, you can set it up. That's all. But these two are optional. Even without setting this information, also you can go and have a transaction directly. At the time of transaction, you can set whatever the invoice currency and payment currency you want to process. Okay. Now we'll go to the bank account. Bank account level, we should give the permission for our account to support these kind of cross currency payments. Go to implementation projects. Say overview. Bank account. Manage bank accounts. Click on go to task icon. Fusion corporate account. Click on edit. So already this setup we completed for the purpose of foreign currency invoice and payment. The same setup is mandatory for this third cross currency payments also. We have to make sure that sorry we have to make sure that this setup is completed. This checkbox is enabled. This will support for foreign currency related invoice and payment process as well as cross currency payments also. Okay. Fine. Done. The next one is daily rates. We'll go and create the daily rates. Yesterday for foreign currency invoice and payments, we defined rate for only one day. Today we'll go and define for between this whatever we selected currencies. Search for daily rates. Go to daily rates. Click on create spreadsheet. Okay, see yes, and you can log into the instance. Ignore it. So from currency, say USD, directly can type here. Conversion rate type is corporate. From date December 1st. Just change the format. So copy and paste to date also, enough for one day. So I'll take 68 as a conversion and say submit. Say okay. Okay, done. Completed. Close it. Just give me 1 second. Fine. So these are okay, this side. Okay. So we define daily rates also. Now we'll create invoice in one currency and payment in other currency. Already we set default as invoice currency is USD. We'll follow the same, and we'll make the payment in INR. Let's go and create the invoice. Go to navigator, invoices. Say create invoice. Select business unit. Okay, business unit level. Just we give an invoice currency as a USD. The same system is taking here, and even supplier level also we have a default the same. You can directly type here. So type 2. Let's say $5,000. And then to amount 5,000. Payment time, anyway you can see the payment currency, but I think in show mode also you can see the same. See here, payment currency INR. This is the defaulting from supplier, because supplier level you given the payment currency as INR, the same is defaulting. If you want to change to some other currency you can do that, but we have to make sure that the rates are available. That's it. This is a simple point. Okay, now just what we'll do is we'll validate. Account it. And so now see, the point is here invoice currency and payment currency is not same. So you cannot go with the painful option. Only the option is you have to go with the manual payment process. So go to payment workbench. Say create payment. So since that we set the third party payments enabled, not an issue, that won't become issue later on after this transaction. We'll go and uncheck that. And just select this. Now see, the payment currency system is defaulting the same actual whatever the invoice currency we have, so that you have to change to INR. So whatever option we given, that is applicable, that level it is working. Invoice level it is defaulting, but here you have to overwrite. So INR. Anyway, rates and all already we defined. There won't be an issue with that. So for which invoice you want to make the payment? Invoice number 6. So here you can see that conversion. Invoice currency is USD, that is a 5,000, and payment in INR, that is equal to this is the amount, 3,40,000 rupees. Just simply you can say save and close. If you want to create accounting, you can do that. We know that process. Okay, this is all about cross currency payments. This is not possible in EBS, as we know, in 11 IR R12, but Fusion you can handle this. And the next concept here we have, this is